Immigration, of course, a big issue for the Conservative Party. A couple of stories today. One, a blow for Rishi Sunak, the agreement with Turkey. Not going to happen. You can't send people back to Turkey, he's told, because it's not safe. But most interestingly, £2.6 billion being sought by the Home Office for overspend on asylum hotels. I thought we were supposed to be closing the hotels, no longer using the hotels.
Yes, and I think that will be shocking to the UK taxpayer that additional funding has had to be found and is going to need to be found to fund people in hotels. Now, the hotel accommodation is not fit for the individuals that are being put up there. It's not sustainable for the UK taxpayer, and it's why the government would say you need to get Rwanda off the ground to ensure that you stop people. It's acted as a deterrent to stop people taking up that sort of perilous journey in the first place. So, yes, huge sums. Not ideal, but you know the Home Secretary, I think, will want to highlight the returns agreement with Albania, 90% returns there.
That's the point. They were trying to mirror that with Turkey, weren't they?
Exactly, and it's another bump in the road. It's another obstacle, but I'm sure James Clever, the Home Secretary, will want to work through it.
Now, the Safety of Rwanda bill is in the House of Lords. It's at committee stage now. The government really has put all of its eggs in one basket here, saying we need to get this across. I'm actually very mindful that if you come here illegally, and we're talking about this top story this morning, if you come here illegally, you can't claim asylum in this country. That's why the government says this is really important to get Rwanda off the ground.
Absolutely, because the story that everybody's talking about, and your top story today about Abdul Ezedi, the chemical attacker who's on the run.
Say, yeah.
He is someone that has a failed asylum claim twice, who came into this country illegally, and we're seeing an attack on UK soil on that awful. The awful situation with the mother and her two kids. So, people will be asking all the right questions as to how that was allowed to happen. It should never have been allowed to happen, but the fact that it has is alarming in itself. But it should never be allowed to happen again, because if you do come into this country illegally, if you have a criminal record in this country, and I believe it was a sexual offence, that warranted a pretty cheap sentence, if you ask me, by the sounds of things, from what I've been reading. And it was after that he was granted asylum. That is an outrage, and I think people will be furious.
What's gone wrong with this? So he came here in 2016, the sexual offence in 2018. He was then granted asylum in 2021-22. Now, clearly, people at home will be thinking the system is not fit for purpose. Do you think it actually hardens resolve? Does it actually add weight to the government's elbow?
I think it does. I mean, it obviously highlights the failings within the Home Office. I mean, my understanding is that it should never have been allowed to happen, and questions will certainly be asked who approved that, who looked into his application. And I know there are some stories I think it's in the Mail, that talked about a conversion. Yes, exactly. A reference from a priest, because exactly so. Now, people can change, people can be reformed in many different ways, but I think if you come into this country illegally, if you've committed the crime which he was given a criminal record for, to then be granted an asylum refuge in this country, to then go and commit the crime that he's alleged to have committed, I think you're absolutely right, David. The public will be up in arms, and it will highlight how broken the system has been, which is why the government needs to do all it can to fix it.
OK, Charlie, thank you very much indeed.